Hello, fellow cutters. Today I would like to show you how to break down a level 2 ship. This is for anybody new at the game or just interested on trading strategies. Alright, good morning. Now before you head out, always make sure your equipment's in decent shape. I just repaired the cutter. Cutter, anything less than 50%, I'd say repair. The other stuff takes a while. So, and the level 2, your first ship, it's a very fun one to learn. I recommend you try it just by yourself and just have some fun with that. But if you're interested in how I do it, here you go. So, Class 1 reactor, power cell, nanocarbon, and metal. I can usually get all those objectives done in the first day, especially on one of these easier ones. Now, the difference between Class 2 and Class 3, on Class 3, these thrusters are a lot harder to get off. You have to go inside under the hull panels to release them. But on these early ones, you can cut them off from the outside, so that should be your first thing. Oop. Now, cutting these things off will not vent the ship, so you're safe to do so. And I like just to get it done.
Salvage
Easy
secured.
peasy.
Credits deposited.
And you can get rid of this little antenna. Not really worth much, to be honest, but it is fun to put everything in its proper place.
Salvage
Alright,
secured.
airlock is going to be
Account
on this
credit applied.
side.
Airlock pressure levels dropping. Airlock pressure levels increasing.
Now I do have the perk that lets you recharge oxygen when in a pressurized environment, so I like to do as much as I can before I depressurize the entire ship. Check things out. Sometimes you'll have a release lever here. That might only be on the level 3 ships, now that I think about it, but worth checking. If there's a lot of seats in here, I might pry them off before I depressurize, just to save myself some time. Data drive. And I like to open up the cockpit as well, just to make sure that gets depressurized at the same time. So we can depressurize with the atmospheric regulator.
Air pressure level decreasing.
And don't forget to open up the airlock as well. Or if you cut into that, you'll be in for a nasty explosive decompression event. Now the first thing I do once I'm in here is just cut out these bottom plates. I find this is the best way to just start clearing out the ship of all the goodies on the inside. Now you see I'm going to try and cut through multiple cut points at the same time. Be careful with that, because you can very easily start cutting the wrong thing and you don't see what it is because everything's on fire. And I do have an upgraded cutting tool, so don't be surprised if you have to get closer. All part of the progression. So hull plates. Woo. Like to fly home to the blue zone. Oh shit.
Processing valuable object. Credits awarded.
Sometimes they'll just pop out by themselves, but sometimes they need a little push. And now that I'm in here, it's easy to get rid of whatever you find inside.
Salvage deposit accepted.
These
Credits
crates
transferred.
are not worth too much, but might as well send them home to their families.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Alright. Repair kit and oxygen. I'll have to remember that if I'm getting low later. Now, get rid of this reactor before it explodes on you. I've never had that happen, but you know, it never happens if you just take care of it nicely like that. Next, I like to get rid of your thruster.
Caution. Tether supplies are low.
And with the thruster gone, now my favorite way of cutting these ships up is to
Salvage secured.
just cut off
Credit applied.
the butt. Now with those 4 points removed, this entire rear end section is ready to go. And it's a little closer, well, angled maybe better towards this one. So I'll send you there. Goodbye, bud. Now with the butt removed, it reveals the fuel canisters. Now those little red things, you can send it to the processor, but you know, I don't really care. Alright, so now you can just easily crawl in here and cut all these side panels off, which I find is the fastest way to get it done. We can't cut through the whole machine because we got an airlock in the way. The airlock is always kind of annoying. But right here, we can cut through to the front. And I spy our power cell.
Object accepted for processing. Credits deposited.
Careful. You do not want to accidentally laser your power cell or your cryo. Those ricocheting lasers are just... Clearly the developer put those in there to make life interesting. And I personally applaud them for that. Alright. Ah! Well, yeah, that is how you accidentally blow up a cryo canister. And I think I'll just leave that in there for now. Because, you know, leaves a strong warning. Otherwise, to avoid having that happen, just don't shoot it with your laser.
Credits transferred.
Basically do that same thing without that part. Most of the time, you know, that never happens.
Warning. Tethers depleted.
Alright. But honestly, losing one cryo canister, I think those things are worth maybe 50,000? Not much. As you can see, we've already got our work orders done.
Valuable object processed.
They don't actually start to value the cryo canisters until later in the game.
Thank you for your purchase.
I always buy a fresh oxygen even if I don't absolutely need it. Just because time is money. And any time I'd have to waste by going for oxygen earlier is not to my advantage. Ooh, now before... this always happens when I come back on my tether run. I remember, don't forget the cargo hatch.
Valuable object processed. Credits awarded.
The cargo hatch goes to the barge. Alright, now that we're in here, we can start cutting these roof panels off. Roof panels are another one. It's nice to just line up in a assume you're cutting the right thing. You have to get this one from the inside because that little hatch will block it. Alrighty, time to send these guys flying back home to the blue zone.
Valuable object processed. Credits awarded.
Am I missing one? Yeah, these guys are ready to fly too.
Cutter, there's 5 minutes remaining in this shift. Get in while the getting's good. We're out.
As far as making money, your best bet at this point is to make sure you get all of these electric items. Hatches, air filter regulators. These are, aside from, you know, the reactor fuel cell, things like that, what you really want. Much better than a stinky cryo canister. At this point, we want to get in this side panel. You could go in through the middle of the airlock. Try not to make those things blow up. Now, aluminum panels, you know, the big secret in this game is that they don't matter. They're worth almost nothing. Alright. Cryo canister, my old enemy. Now, I'm pretty sure it's just a ricocheting laser that made it blow up last time. I just had the angle wrong. And, you know, shit happens. But with all those cut points gone, we are able to get rid of these side panels. Goodbye, side panels.
Tether supplies running low.
Get rid of that door. Let's go ahead and just cut this stuff off here.
Object accepted for processing. Credit deposited.
You know, we got plenty. Let's just take one of these bad boys. And honestly, with the head detached, I would just yeet this stupid thing into the furnace. Because honestly, it's not worth much. It's mostly aluminum. There's a little nanocarbon on the airlock, but honestly, dealing with the airlock is a pain. And if I'm trying to get this done in one day, this is how I like to do it. Alright, see? Look, I can successfully harvest cryo canisters.
Credits deposited.
Now these seats, you know, they're not worth too much. They're not as good as something like an atmospheric regulator or power junction box. Is there a regulator in here? Yes, there is. So I'm running low on time here. I'm gonna try and get rid of all this shit. Now that guy should go into the fire.
Credits transferred.
I'll pull off these computers. At 1 minute, I'm just going to yeet this whole thing into the processing unit because,
Salvage secured.
you know, I'm running low on time. Now, you can definitely get every little thing in the right place. You know, if I took 2 days, you know, there's no question. Very simple.
Deposited.
But since I'm only doing 1 day, I'm sending it. Now the glass is probably the thing
No tethers
I regret
remaining.
most because you can get rid of that for about $80,000.
1 minute left, Cutter. Time
But-
to start wrapping things up. We
You
wrap.
know, it's not that important. And with the head going in the garbage, there's no more ship left.
Valuable objects processed. Credits awarded.
See? Destroyed. Glass. Oh well. But your ship is gone, except for some little pieces of trash and chippies and maybe a Coke bottle or something. Well, you know, now that I have 30 seconds, I kind of regret throwing the glass away. But, and the computers. But it's fine. In the meantime, that's the game. We'll check out how much money we made.
No tethers remaining.
Now, that was a really good use of tethers for me. Normally, I'm not that efficient. I have to go back for a second batch. But, you know, hey. Let's see how much money we made. Ooh, almost 3 million. Now, I think the game says that if you do it perfectly, you can get 4.5 million. That's pretty hard to do, I think. And especially if you're trying to do these guys in one day, this is the best strategy I've found. You get all the big boys like the, the reactor, power cell. You can make your work order pretty easily, but by getting rid of the ship in the way I showed, you can make a cool 3 mil, and more than covers your $500,000 daily expenses. Not a ton of Lynx tokens. To really see a huge amount of Lynx tokens, you need to get to like rank 6 and start cutting up geckos. But that is my demo on level 2 ship salvaging. Thank you very much.